Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
All right, we return to coverage of the whatever breaking news on the war, and we bring in my good friend, General Jack Keane, retired four-star as senior strategic analyst for Fox News. General Keane, thank you for helping out, kind of off the cuff. We appreciate it very much. Nobody knows this stuff better than you. And no one's been calling for this more than you have. And I agree. What can you tell us at this stage of the game? What does it look like to you, sir?
Well, so our audience understands, to begin with, this is the two best proven militaries in the world, the Israeli and U.S. militaries, that have combined to conduct a joint operation here, and the first offensive campaign in our joint history to take down this diabolical, tyrannical regime once and for all, after almost 50 years of chaos and tyranny that they have caused, and killing literally thousands of Americans during that span of time as well. Credit President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu for the moral courage to see the historic opportunity and to seize it, given Iran is so vulnerable and weak. And as a result of a campaign that began in daylight, which is unusual in of itself, to achieve some tactical surprise so that the first targets hit were leaders. And we don't know all the results of that. It's unlikely we will get all the leaders, but we will more than likely get many. And that will be a major accomplishment itself. Also, the deception and partially reality of negotiations provided some cover also for this tactical supply, and also some of the posturing that was going on in our country about negotiations and the desire to have that as a plausible option when it never was a plausible option. And you and I have discussed that at length, Larry. Mm-hmm. Also helped in being able to achieve that kind of tactical surprise, because in Iran, they're braced for something to happen at night, not for something to happen today when people begin to gather in a work environment, etc. So that was step one. Step two is to take down their entire air defense system so that there's complete freedom of action for pilots throughout the entire terrain of Iran, something that was achieved in a couple of days during the 12-day war. And the psychological impact of jets flying, American and Israeli jets flying all over the airspace of Iran 24/7 over the next coming days and weeks cannot be underestimated in terms of the humiliation that has for the incumbent powers to be, and the strengthening of the resolve of the Iranian citizens to finally, at the end of the day here, do something about it. Early results are good news. The Iranian response has been much weaker than we anticipated. They have recovered much of their ballistic missile programs, and they have short-range and medium-range missiles. As of a couple of hours ago, they only fired about 40 of those at Israel, and they were not in major population centers, so they were either intercepted or they let them hit because they knew where they would go and they would do no damage. There's been some attacks, I believe, on U.S. bases. We don't know the results of that yet. We are expecting that the Iranians have thousands of drones, and as opposed to flying them during the 12-day war towards Israel, because Israel had attacked them, the United States had not, they used those drones to fly those several hours, and obviously the fighters were waiting for them and shot down just about every one of them. They would likely not do that again and focus those drones on U.S. bases in the region. We are prepared for that, but we're also prepared for the reality of casualties. This is not a limited attack, as some people were suggesting a couple of days ago. This has always been an air campaign that was put together between Israel and the United States many, many weeks ago, actually months ago. And the details are comprehensive. It's going to last weeks, not days. And that is what we're about here. And we're going to have a lot of wins here, but there's likely going to be some low points and disappointments. And that is what this is. War. This is not a one-off operation like Maduro in Venezuela, or like Qasem Soleimani, or like taking down the Syrian chemical capability a number of years ago, or killing al-Baghdadi, or even the Midnight Hammer operation, which was a one-off, comprehensive, complicated campaign, but just lasted a short period of time. This is not an operation. This is a campaign of war.
It sounds like we're going to determined, U.S. military determined to take them out once and for all. Everything. Now, ICBMs, interesting. Your point about the ICBMs, there's been so much talk about Iran's ICBMs. Maybe they didn't have them. I mean, maybe they wasted them. Or maybe we took them out in the Midnight Hammer operation. I mean, what do you make of that sound? I mean, I always thought that was really the last line of defense for Iran was these ICBMs.
No, well, a couple of corrections. They're not ICBMs. ICBMs are intercontinental ballistic missiles that traverse oceans that we have, Russia and China has. To date, we don't believe that Iran has any intercontinental ballistic missiles. They have medium range and short range. We do know for a fact, not supposition, but fact, that we destroyed about half of them during the 12-day war. But we do know they had about 2,000 left, and they have been recovering them rapidly since. One of the reasons for this operation to be conducted at all has to do with a couple of things. One is the rapid pace at which they were recovering these ballistic missiles, medium and short range. Secondly, Iran's determination not to change a thing after the 12-day war. Missile recovery, decision to restart the nuclear program but not to execute it, support for the proxies, money began flowing into the proxies again, and their determination to not change any of their objectives and aspirations and goals despite the 12-day war. You put that together with how vulnerable and weak they are, and Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump made the collective decision that now is the time to stop these guys once and for all, get them off the board once and for all, and rid the Middle East and the world writ large of this tyrannical, diabolical government that's been in existence for almost 50 years. So that's what drove the decision. However, in that decision, they were and still likely are very concerned about the capability that Iran was going to exhibit to come at U.S. bases massively with thousands of drones and also short-range ballistic missiles, and go after Israel with hundreds of ballistic medium-range missiles. And best of my knowledge, that has not happened. There has been a response, but it is much weaker than we anticipated. It's not because they don't have them. It's that when you take the leaders down, Larry, and you take command and control, and we conduct cyber attacks on the ability to an organization, a military organization, to communicate with each other, to issue instructions, provide guidance, provide support, etc., and you disrupt all of that, there is a price to be paid down at the lower level where the launch systems are and the missiles and where the drones are. And that is probably what has happened to their not providing what they... We had good intelligence that as soon as we began an attack, they were going to conduct a massive retaliation, which made us move up forward in the attack plans, the destruction of the drones, the destruction of the missile sites. So that is also happening, that destruction, but also the disruption is likely occurring because we're kinetically impacting the chain of command, but also cyber attacks are disrupting the chain of command itself.
You know, as long as we've been talking about this Iranian situation, going back several years, General, you've wanted to see attacks on the command and control systems. You've said this so many times. And so is that what's happening? I mean, is that what the U.S. and Israel is doing? Are we taking out command and control?
Yes. We're going after leaders, and these are civilian political leaders as well as military leaders. So you have the leaders trying to get the leaders at the top, but also the legislature is being attacked. Other agencies of government are being attacked. The IRGC, the Basel militia, the police infrastructure, a deliberate attack and decapitation of these structures that sustain the regime. We want to break down the ability of this regime to function, and certainly the initial function we want to disrupt the most is their military function. But we are clearly want to completely disestablish their ability to function politically inside the country as well. And so this is a very comprehensive approach to disestablishing the entire infrastructure, both political and military, that supports the regime. And that will take, we can't do that in 24 hours. That's going to take time to completely unfold itself. But we have the plans and we have the resources to do all of that, plus take down the missiles and the drones, etc. And whatever initial recovery they're trying to make of their nuclear sites, and we know what they're doing to the old sites. It's mostly assessment and some piece of recovery, but there's also one or two new sites that they've gone to, and we absolutely know where they are, and they will be hit as well.
We're talking with General Jack Keane, retired four-star general and vice chair, the Army Chief of Staff, and longtime friend, senior strategic analyst for Fox News, longtime friend and mentor to me. Can I just come back, General Keane, to the hitting the command and control and the leaders? Do we have any reports on hitting leaders?
We don't know for sure. I mean, all I have is anecdotal that we've killed a number of them. I don't know about the Ayatollah. There's all sorts of stuff running around about him. I've told that they haven't been able to contact him, but I don't think we can make any conclusions about that. That's going to take some time, as you can understand, to unfold. In all of this, they're not going to likely volunteer, everybody that's been killed. And certainly those renderings were likely done by standoff capability using cruise missiles fired from airplanes or submarines at outside of Iran itself. But we don't know if that's all that was done. We also know that there were some plans, for raids to be conducted on the ground, in and out, against selected targets. I don't know if any of that is unfolded, and if it did, they're not going to tell us anyway, based on whether those operations are complete or not. And they may not have chosen that option, but I know that there were plans being made, along those lines as well. I think what will happen, this is an operation that's planned for 2 to 3 weeks. I think what we'll see in a matter of days, Larry, countries will come together and try to get a ceasefire going here. So anticipate Qataris, Egyptians, Turkey, wanting to stop this. And what we have to have, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump will see right through that. We have military objectives that we need to conduct, and we have to finish this once and for all. And we can't fall prey to the political pressure inside the United States, inside Israel, and certainly in the region itself, applying that pressure to the Prime Minister and to our President to stop the killing. And we may at that time also have some casualties ourselves, and let's end this. We have to end it based on the military objectives we set for ourselves, and we should not end it until those objectives are achieved. A premature stopping this war would squander all the results that would have achieved up to that point that we walk away.
100%. The president said, apparently, I didn't hear it, but in his speech he said, major combat operations underway to obliterate Iranian missile factories, and he's telling Iranian troops to surrender now. This is this unconditional surrender. We talked about this during the 12-day war. I mean, is it possible there's splits inside Iran, or is it one, just one group that's in charge, no opposition? Because they're killing people at random, as you know. I mean, we've had Robert O'Brien on, this broadcast, and the kill number was up to something like 35,000, General. Maybe it's more than that. Snipers on rooftops just firing bullets into these dissident crowds. And I mean, is everybody in that crazy place, all the leaders on board with those kinds of tactics?
No, absolutely not. And that's why they brought in so many, militia groups. The anecdotal feedback we were getting from people on the streets is saying the goons out there with the guns, this is when they were all holed up in their homes. They had fled the streets. The people out there are speaking Arab, not Farsi. So they brought other people in, to do some of that killing for all the obvious reasons. They never committed their army troops, who are draftees and 19 to 22, and some of them likely live in those towns and cities, that they would be killing their own citizens. So, that has always been an issue for them. And listen, our CIA and obviously the Mossad is also working divisions within the government themselves to bring it apart and put pressure on them not to continue to support these diabolical leaders who are going to lead you all to your death, and to break from them. And that pressure is going to increase and mount. And certainly there's also Radio Free Florida, who's going in there and talking to the Iranian citizens. And our president dealt with them directly in his talk and appealing to them. This is your opportunity when the bombing stops to overthrow the regime. He is appealing to them, that he's telling them, I have come to help you. I have delivered what you asked for. Now it's going to be up to you. And obviously, whoever we're dealing with during that time frame, I'm hoping that we're able to, Larry, to bend them to our will, similar to what we're doing in Venezuela with the remaining thugs after Maduro's gone and after these elites are gone. Whatever thuggery we're still dealing with there, and it will be authoritarian, that we bend them to a will, and eventually, in time, and it will take time, to move from an authoritarian regime to a democratic government.
Got it. General Keane, thank you, sir. So informative. You're very generous with your time. Our audience appreciates you very much. I'm sure you're going to be very busy and are very busy, but thank you ever so much for helping out. General Jack Keane, folks, senior strategic analyst for Fox News, and he knows things that other people don't know. Anyway, I'm Kudlow. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back and wrap this one, and then we're going to look at some more. We've got more experts. Dan Brouillette, former Energy Secretary, Mr. Trump's first term, will talk about some of this and also the oil situation. I'm Kudlow. We'll be right back.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.